So I've been grinding away at YouTube for about 2 years now. Okay, well, it's only 2 if you round because my anniversary is in a few months, but that's close enough anyway, so we'll call it that. Within the time I've been back to the platform, I've met quite a few people, most of them being other animators. But if you were to ask me today how many of those same people are still kicking around and making videos, yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that one, pal. I'd have to do a recount. Like, look at this. I made this Mario Wonder parody image around the time that I first became an animator, with a bunch of my original friends that I made at the time. And out of all of them, nobody is remaining. I'm not kidding. Everybody you see in this image except for me is no longer a YouTuber. It's really easy to forget or overlook after doing it so much, but the fact that I can sit here and say that I make YouTube videos is honestly really cool. Because not everyone can say that. Not everyone can do it. Well, everybody can upload to YouTube. It's really easy, and it happens all the time. It takes like 6 clicks at least. So it works if you just want to make a happy birthday video for grandma or something. But if you want to move past just uploading videos and start uploading original tailored content, that's where things get a little rough, a little rocky. What's hard isn't uploading a video. Uploading a video is super simple. Anyone can do that. What's difficult is making the content that you will upload. And that part's difficult regardless if it's your first rodeo or not. Takes a lot of effort and work and passion and is not always going to be easy, but it's manageable if you know what you're doing. So heyo, I'm MoonieMuses, and today I'm going to share some tips from myself as well as some other YouTuber friends and associates to try and help not just people trying to get into YouTube for the first time, but also people that are already here on YouTube and want to try and stay here. Let's talk about it. Timestamps and chapters for easier viewing will be in the video and description below. Happy watching! One of the first things you need to consider before you can even think about making videos is the channel itself, because it's just as important, if not more. Because this channel is going to be your personal little corner of the internet. It'll serve as your internet resume of your accomplishments, your identity. This is how people are going to know you, this is how people are going to recognize you, and it's what people are going to call you. It's not the end-all be-all or the make or break of your channel or anything, it's not that big, but at the very least, give it a little bit of thought. Besides, do you want to be known as Energetic Shadow or Channel Pig? Yeah, I didn't think so. As for how exactly to come up with a name, I can't tell you step by step how to do that, only you know what you like and what you want, but I can give you 2 general pointers I've noticed. Based on what I've seen across the platform, most usernames seem to fall under one of 2 categories: hyper-specific content names and non-specific use names, both of which are terms I made up. So let me explain. Hyper-specific names are names that put major emphasis and importance on the type of content created on the channel as a channel identity and not just the creator themselves, essentially serving as a miniature pitch of what the channel is about at a glance, a way to instantly be approachable and let you know what you're getting into as a viewer. Think names like Jaden Animations, Brody Animates, Dehaminations, Linus Tech Tips, the 4 Theorist channels that all end in theory, the Theorizer, the Fine Bros React series, Transosaurus Lex, Lo-Fi Girl, and the Diamond Minecart. Dan actually becomes a bit of an interesting example here, but we'll get back to him in a bit. All of the names I listed have direct ties and influence to the type of content that they make. On the other end of the spectrum, non-specific names forgo structure, and instead of trying to tell you what kind of content that they make, focus a lot more on trying to be memorable and interesting as possible, putting major emphasis on standing out from the crowd first. Think of names like The Odd Ones Out, The Amazing, Something Else YT, Infamous Swoosh, It's Me D, Me, Torty, Paperdon, Shyren, Yuku EX, Running Ultrafox, Everything Fire, Nani Nagi, Meldon Australian, Atsu, Silly Pal, and the Mighty Nebby. That just took a while to remember, oh my gosh. Like the previous set of names, these ones aren't as tied down for use, and are a lot more loose and free. Let's use The Odd Ones Out for example. There's nothing particularly animatory about his name. Beyond our preconceived notions of who we know The Odd Ones Out is, there's nothing that says that The Odd Ones Out can't also be the name of a gaming channel or something. Or for a secondary example, there's nothing particularly Minecrafty about the name The Mighty Nebby. You can say basically anything about this name. You can assume anything because it doesn't point you in a general direction. You could guess about how this channel is about the character Zoe from the video game Monster Prom, if you wanted, and you'd be right.
And then I forced him to play Monster Prom so I could date Zoe. Zoe Monster Prom would be freaking out right now. Clearly my patron is Zoe from Monster Prom, the Zoe-thon, that I very clearly put a picture of me making out with Zoe from Monster Prom on the screen.
So which name type should you use? Well, it really depends on what you want most in a name or prioritize. Do you want to be safe, direct, and to the point with the caveat that you'll kind of be cliche? Or do you want to try and be unique and original with the caveat that it's kind of difficult to be unique and original? Just ask all the guys who rip off Brody in the small storytime animation community. They know a lot about that. Unless you have 100% confidence and dedication to the type of content you're going to make, you probably shouldn't be using a hyper-specific name and slapping animations or gaming at the end of your name, because you're basically baking that thing into your identity. So turning around and changing it later is going to be kind of difficult. Just look at Sky Does Everything. He changed his name a few years ago, but nobody actually calls him this, and everyone just considers him Sky Does Minecraft still, so they call him that. Because that's who he built himself up to be. One of the few people I can think of that managed a successful turnaround is Dan, who I mentioned earlier. Originally called the Diamond Minecart, he slowly chopped it down over the years to the acronym of TDM to get rid of the hyper-specific nature of his name tying him to Minecraft. And then he merged it into a new username of DanTDM, and unlike Sky, it happened naturally, so people call him DanTDM because the change was, it was good. But he seems to be the exception, not the rule though. So don't go around betting that you can have as smooth of a pivot as Dan did if you need it, because you're probably not going to. So just be realistic and don't use a hyper-specific name if you're not going to be able to commit to it. Okay, so by this point, you should have a name. Great. So now I'm gonna start asking the big question of, what is your niche? Wait, a niche? Isn't that just what your channel does? Like Jaden Animations and stuff like that I talked about earlier with hyper-specific names? And to that I say, no. What you're thinking about is a channel genre, which is the thing that relates back to hyper-specific names. Animations, gaming, stuff like that. A channel niche is a little bit different. And yes, the difference does matter here. Yeah, I know it's a little bit confusing. I felt that same way too when I first had to deal with niches. I don't think the guys at vidIQ did a very good job of explaining it to me personally. So I'm going to explain it a little bit differently, so hopefully you get it. By definition, a genre is an all-encompassing term that can talk about and describe a lot of things at once that share characteristics. Think like sci-fi. Sci-fi can refer to a lot of things, while a niche describes something that is a lot more specific, made for a specific purpose or for a specific set of people. So in this example, think like Doctor Who, a sci-fi show about a time-traveling British alien in an 1800s police box that reincarnates every other season. That is niche. That is specific. Doctor Who's not for everyone, it's for a specific set of people. And that's okay, because the show knows who it's for and what it does, and it does it well. Get the difference? Genre can cover anything, while a niche covers things in particular. Let's take this example back to YouTube, shall we? In my channel trailer, I said this line. On this channel, I specialize in a variety of art-centered commentary-based content, which can range from my old storytime animations to topical video essay-type things, or whatever sits in between in that spectrum. That right there? That's my niche. Storytime animation and topical video essays. It's focused, it's specific, and I know what I'm going to do. It's not for everybody, but for the people that like these things, they'll probably like it. And that's the point. Don't try and please everybody. That's impossible. Even Superman has haters, and he's Superman. Just focus on trying to please your circle of people, and that circle of people will be the people that support you. So let's look at some other examples real quick. Game Theory. Their niche is... Game Theory. Koryx Kenshin's niche is horror content and let's plays, typically both of those things at once. Mr. Beast's niche is extravagant game show style events with cash prizes and typical charity. Mark Rober's niche is science-related challenge content, usually relating to engineering stuff. And the Mighty Nebby is a gaming YouTuber who uses Minecraft mod pack challenges as a guide to transitioning to talking about Zoe from Monster. Hey, Editing Mooney here, and this is not true anymore.
Okay, so the Too Many Mods videos, those are done. The last one was like the big finale that I'd had in my head since I uploaded the Quality of Life video a year ago. I don't really know what the main thing on the channel is gonna be now, because I kind of finished the whole big series I was doing.
But hey, Zoe from Monster Prom is still here, so at least that part's still correct.
Here's mine. How many times do I need to put me making out with Zoe on screen for you to not ship me with Red Eye Bear?
What if you don't know what you want to specialize in? Well, if you're just starting a YouTube channel for the first time, you're actually in a really good spot to find out. My friend Sellers Animates said it best when I asked him for tips, and he said, be a nerd. Do whatever the heck you want. You don't have a huge audience. Not many people are waiting. So what's the point of thinking about it so hard when at the end of the day, it's not their job to like the stuff that you put out? He is 100% right about that. A brand new channel is a perfect empty slate. No legacy, no baggage, no audience. You genuinely have nothing to worry about. You are free. So take advantage of it. You can goof around here to your heart's content to figure out what you want without any worry or stress of judgment because no one's here to judge you. So create a way until you find something that you like and you want to do. And that's important too. Make sure you actually like doing it. Don't just do it because it gets you views. That's how you end up hating yourself and hating your content. That's how it killed my channel the first time. Because you gotta remember, at this point, you're just doing this for fun, you know? I hope you're not just here expecting a YouTube play button or check anytime soon. You should be doing YouTube because you yourself actively want to do it. You should like making content. It's the whole point. And if you don't, well, the Slop Farm tutorial is that way. So if you're at this point in the guide, you should, bare minimum, have a channel name picked out and a genre for what you're going to do, as well as a niche, ideally, but if not, like I said, that's okay. So now that we have all of the technicalities out of the way, we can start getting to all of the practical things, like making a video. And what's the most important part when it comes to making a video? The video idea itself. If it's a good, nuanced video idea, it's probably going to be a pretty good video. And if it's a bad video idea, it's probably going to be a pretty bad video. Or at least, that's how it would be if it weren't for one other thing. Video idea execution. How a video idea is executed in practice will obviously have major effects for the video in total, because a video idea execution has the power to change how your video is perceived, meaning like what seems to be a mundane or bad video idea can end up becoming a really good video if done well, but a good video idea can end up being a pretty bad video if done poorly. Ideally though, you're going to want to aim for a good balance of both of these things, decent video idea and good execution. So, how exactly do we go about doing this? Well, first things first, how do you come up with a good video idea? Well, this is where some of my bias begins to come in. Because of my specialty and niche, I only really know my specialty and niche. So what I classify as a good video idea for my niche may be fundamentally different from what you think is a good video idea for yours. I only have so much knowledge and experience, so I can only share what I know. But what I highly recommend no matter what is to go out, watch people in your genre or niche, and see what they're doing. But I do not condone in stealing other people's work. There is a difference between being derivative or inspired and stealing somebody's work. For example, Brody clones. I've ripped into them a little bit previously in this video, but at the end of the day, I do know that these people generally mean well. They're inspired, and they look up to somebody, very clearly, and they want to imitate him. You can call it unoriginal, sure, and it might be, but it's sincere. You can tell that at the end of the day, this is all coming from admiration. It's coming from good intentions. Even my poking fun at them in this video from time to time for good fun, I acknowledge that these guys are probably doing their best. So you know what? I'll give them props for that, because at the end of the day, they're trying. They're trying to be derivative. And hopefully, one day, with enough time and effort, if they so choose to continue to pursue it, people like this can break free of their inspiration's shadow, like Brody, and become their own person and something new, like how my friend Ski-Doo-Doo-Claw did. Because, you know, YouTube doesn't need another Brody Animates. It has a Brody Animates just fine. What it doesn't have yet, though, is you. But where I won't give props is if you're blatantly stealing somebody's work. This is blatant unoriginality, and it sucks. Compared to my previous example where the Brody clones are still trying to do their best and put their best foot forward no matter what, even if they're labeled as unoriginal, people who steal work, and in the case of the art or animation community, trace work, don't have that silver lining. They're unoriginal through and through. They put no effort, they don't put their best foot forward, they're just ripping off somebody else's work. Meanwhile, the other guy is taking inspiration from it and trying to make their own thing. And that's the difference. Wait, where was I? Oh, right. Video ideas. Okay, so, watch some of your favorite creators for this. Watch these creators that you like and try to figure out what about them makes you like them. What's entertaining? I like informational video essays about documentaries and stupid topics that you don't think you'd care about until the very end. So, I made an informational video essay about a stupid topic that you think you wouldn't care about until the very end. It's synergy, and it makes your life easier because, hey, I watch these all the time, so what better place to get inspiration than stuff that I like? Look for stuff within that vein and see what resonates with you. I also highly recommend that you start writing down your video ideas. Write these things down, a lot. All the time, immediately. If you have a thought that you think could possibly be a good video in any way, write it down now. I promise you, you will not remember it later. If you think you will, you won't. One of the biggest things I've seen kill channels of my past friends and all that is lack of video idea. They sit around and wait for that perfect video idea that never comes, and their channel slowly rots as they don't upload. Writing down video ideas minimizes this as much as possible. By writing things down, no matter how small an idea may be, it ensures that you almost always have at least one idea to work with if you need it. So, if you have a video idea that you think has soured on you or you don't want to work on anymore, you don't have to work on it anymore if you don't want to. You can cancel it or put it on the back burner for another time when you're feeling more up to it and work on something else. This also helps keep your thoughts organized because sometimes a video idea can change and evolve over time, and you need to make sure that you're keeping your thoughts straight. My physical media and preservation video, for example, first started out as two videos. One that was a rant about Netflix, and one that was a rant about video games becoming all digital. They slowly built up over time and continuously overlapped, so I decided to combine them into a single one because they fit, which I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't decide to write down my video ideas. So yeah, take example from people that you follow and people that you admire, don't copy them and put your own spin on things, and write down your video ideas so you don't lose them. But, we still gotta talk about video execution, right? I talked about that, I didn't forget, don't worry. Video execution is how you go about presenting your video to your audience. For example, let's take this video by genre. This video is about flex tape. Now, in a vacuum, flex tape on its own doesn't really sound like a very good video idea, does it? It's flex tape. But that's where you'd be wrong, because this video is the best video on JonTron's channel. So why? Why is it so good? Well, it all comes down to how John handled this video. Because this video isn't just about the product of flex tape, that's boring. That sucks. No one cares about that. What JonTron is focused on throughout this video is the terrible commercials about flex tape. Because those are interesting. Those are entertaining. Those are funny. People care about those. Sure, John does use the product in a bit. He does make fun of the product itself.
I no longer want water! Oh, shit! What? You telling me this whole time I've been using just regular old Scotch tape to affix my bricks to my door jambs? It's gonna be a revelation.
But the video still is about the commercials. He's making fun of the commercial. He's making fun of the stuff that happens in the commercial.
The easy way to stop leaks fast.
That's a colander, Phil. It's supposed to have holes and leaks. What you've done is essentially you've made a bowl.
And that's what I mean when good execution can make an inherently mundane video idea become a great video. This obviously relates most to my niche and stuff like that, video essays and storytime animation and all that, but still, how can I spin this video idea to make it as entertaining for viewers as possible? What kind of things can I do to make myself stand out? Why would a viewer want to watch my video? Maybe it's a fun twist like my Undertale and Pokemon video. Maybe the interesting thing is the fact that your approach is so inherently different from everyone else that's covered the same topic or something, like with my Nokia video. Maybe the appeal is that the subject is a really cool niche thing that not many people know, like my one-shot video. Or maybe the video idea is just inherently interesting overall, like why my YouTube character is a girl. It doesn't have to be all extravagant either. For more simpler videos like school stories or something, the whole appeal could be the fact that it's your own unique experiences and your own unique stories and stuff like that. You just want your video to be interesting. And if it doesn't seem interesting, then make it interesting. Little things like that, to liven up the video. Video idea is all important and all that, but if you don't utilize it, what's the point? And if you don't want to hear from me, well, hear it from somebody else.
Hi everyone, my name's Noelle and I have the YouTube channel Animation. I do storytime animation and I'm currently sitting at 13.5 thousand subscribers. I get my video ideas by trying to write out all the stories in my life that I feel like are interesting or topics I feel like I could talk about for a while. And from there, mapping it out month to month of what I would want to post that month and adjusting as time goes by.
Hi, my name is Drybones Babe.
Hello, Mario.
I'm a YouTuber with approximately 2,000 subscribers, and I'm gonna answer some questions. I don't know why I was asked to. I'm really not that large, but I'll do my best. And then my video ideas. I don't know how I get my video ideas. They'll just kind of come to me where I'm like, ooh, it'd be cool, like a video where I go over all of my childhood shovelware. Actually, originally that was just a video about Stunt Track Driver 2, which is like my favorite game from when I was a kid. But start by coming up with a concept, and they strike me whenever. I can't say I sit down and I stockpile them. I have the time and freedom to keep a spreadsheet of video ideas. The other thing is I have my girlfriend kind of vet them. So my girlfriend is Bursty. Bursty plays on YouTube. And she is just phenomenal, and she is very good at coming up with content.
Welcome to I Need a Burrito's YouTube tips. Dun, dun, dun.
Okie dokie Loki. So, you've got yourself a video idea. Now you got a script. Unfortunately, this is where we have to diverge. I can't walk you through this part step by step. Like I said previously, I only know so much. I only know what I do, and I can't predict everything that everyone that watches this video wants to do. But while I can't help you with the specifics, I can help you with more generalized tips when it comes to scripting and stuff. So I'm gonna do that. I really like improvisation within my videos. I do it a lot. I think it makes me sound way more natural when I do, and I've gotten reasonably good at it after so long of doing it. I still script to keep my thoughts straight, but I mostly use it as a general guideline for what I might say and when I might say it, as opposed to a harsh set-in-stone type thing of, you're going to say this, and you're going to say it this time. One of the exceptions to this rule of mine is if a video requires complete accuracy, like for my Nokia video. That video was basically a history video based on facts. Either it was true or not true, and I had to make sure everything in it was true. I can't ad-lib that or else I might say something wrong. And if that happens, I'd just be a liar. Like, what do you mean the Nokia 1100 came out in 2005, you liar? It came out in 2003, actually. And the other exception is if I'm working with a lot of people, like in one shot, so I have to make sure everybody has lines and they know what they're gonna say. Of course, this all depends on personal preference if you think ad-libbing is a route that you can take. I understand everybody's not good at it. But regardless, I still personally recommend that you have a sense of leniency in your videos, even if you go the script route. Don't be so stressed about it. Let yourself relax. What's important is that you sound natural while recording, not that you get every single word that you wrote down right. If you find yourself having trouble formatting or writing scripts, then I recommend once more that you watch creators that you like in your niche. And while you watch them, think things like, why did they structure their video like this? Why is it formatted like this? What about this intro or section keeps me hooked and entertained? Don't just consume, think to evolve, and don't think defeatist. Don't just think, oh, they're better than me. Think, why are they better than me? What are they doing that I'm not? Figure out the answer to that question, and then take what you've learned, apply it, and better yourself. I also recommend doing this if your issue is recording scripts, as the majority of YouTubers, including me if you've noticed, have a very specific way of narrating for YouTube. You know what I'm talking about. The YouTuber voice. Everyone's YouTuber voice is a bit different, because it all comes down to varying combinations of accents, pitches, cadences, inflections, resonances, expressions, pronunciations, articulation, vocalization, and general tone of voice, stuff like that. So, you know, pretty complex. But if you need a good starting point, breaking down somebody else's YouTuber voice is as good of a place as any. Helps you figure out what attributes they use and what clicks for their content, so you have something to work on while you mix and match and try to figure out what works for you. All in all, good luck. Yeah, like I said, I can't help you too much because I don't know what you're gonna do. Unless you want to be MoonieMuses 2 or something, any specific tips I give you aren't gonna be too helpful. Unless, of course, you want to be MoonieMuses 2, but in which case, you're pretty much gonna be the second rate of someone who's barely even second rate. And at that point, what would that make you? Tertiary? Quaternary? I didn't even know quaternary was the thing. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure that you pace yourself. That's important. Know what you're capable of and just work with that. Don't force yourself to do some things you know you can. If you can't make a 5-minute video, don't make a 10-minute video. And if you can't make a 10-minute video, don't make a 20-minute video. It's simple. I talked to my friend Pumpty Pigeon about it when I asked them for tips, and they said about the same thing. As you make more videos, you'll build your tolerance for it over time, and you'll be able to make longer and longer videos. But don't force yourself if you're not ready yet. Because that's how you end up overworking yourself. That's how you end up burning out yourself. And if you burn out, you're not going to want to work on YouTube videos anymore. Which, you know, as I said, I'm trying to help you avoid. So don't do that. Capiche? Capiche. Alright, video editing. I was originally wondering if I should even have this in the video because, you know, a video editing tutorial is kind of out of the way for something like this, or what I normally do. But video editing is an important part of making YouTube videos and an important thing that you will be doing a lot of. So even if you're not necessarily going to do what I do, a lot of the video editing tricks I utilize are really simple and can be done by anybody for anything. So I figured why not? I figured I might as well teach it to you guys and let the cycle continue. Now, I used to work in 60 FPS. I work in 25 now because it makes my lip sync easier, but do know this is possible in any frame rate. You just have to account for the frame rate that you're using and just change the number of frames that you have. So, on with the tutorial. First thing I'm going to teach you is the ups and downs and lefts and rights. So basically, moving things in the 4 cardinal directions. Regardless if you want to go for the x-axis or the y-axis, the process is exactly the same. Assuming that you want to start your object off screen, then, you know, move it off screen with the axis that you want it to move on. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to go for up and down. Set a keyframe at the very beginning of your clip when your character or object is off screen. Then, go forward 4 frames, remember to account for your frame rate if you're not in 25 FPS like me, and change your axis point to 0. So for me, I'm going to change the y-axis back to 0. Then, go forward 2 more frames and set your axis to a variable of -10. This is going to be our bounce effect. For me, I like to go for -80. Finally, go forward 1 last frame and cut your original variable of -10 by half. So for me, it'll be -40, because my original variable was -80. To play it back, you should have an effect that looks like this. And there you go, it's the MoonieMuses funny character bounce effect thing that you see in a lot of videos, not just ours. The process is exactly the same regardless of which axis you want to do, unless you want to go for diagonals, because it means you have to account for both the x and y axis at the same time and make it look straight and accurate, which is hard. But, you know, you can if you want to, I guess. If your character is already on the screen and you want to move it somewhere else, make sure you have a bounce effect at the beginning when your character begins to move, as well as the end when it stops moving. The process is about the same as normal, you're just adding a bounce effect at the beginning, and not just the end. This is just to make sure that your movement is as natural looking as possible, and not just a boring slide, so it looks like this. Make sure you remember your bounce variables that you use, by the way, because you're going to do these a lot. If you do it enough times, you just remember them naturally, so, you know, that's a plus. Another trick I like to do is the slam in and slam down. I think that's what it's called. I don't know what else you would call this. Now, the way that scale is worked in DaVinci Resolve is through decimals, so 1.001, 1.002, etc., and not percentage. But if your video editor does use percentage and doesn't do it the way DaVinci does, then just do a little math to figure out which ones I'm using. Can't help you too much there. To make an object slam down, first make sure that your object is zoomed in entirely on the screen. Then, go forward 4 frames and scale your object back down to your desired size. For me, it's going to be 0.9. Go forward 2 frames and subtract 0.04 from that desired size. So for me, it'll be 0.87. Then, go forward 1 more frame and scale it back down to your desired size plus 0.02. So for me, it's 0.92. And there you go, Chief, you got your slam effect thing. If you want it to slam upward from nothing, then just do the same thing but in reverse, so it's scaling bigger rather than being smaller at the start. But other than that, again, the process is exactly the same. Like I said, what I do is very simple, you just gotta know how to do it. My personal favorite thing to do while editing is my spinny thing. I don't know what the actual term for this is, but it's a thing that I make spin, so it's a spinny thing. This one is really easy to do. First, make a keyframe at a rotation of 0. Go forward 2 frames, and then make a keyframe at a rotation angle of either 4 or -4. This will be the beginning of the spin animation. Then, go forward 4 frames, or however long you want the spin to be, and make another keyframe with a rotation angle of 364 degrees, but make sure the sign is opposite of what you originally had. Finally, go forward 2 more frames and remove that extra 4 degrees from the rotation angle so your thing is straight. And there you go, you've made an object spin. If you combine this with crossfades or cuts, then you can make pretty cool transitions like this. Or you can use it to add more emphasis to the other things I talked about, like a zoom in or zoom out. Like I said, these are really basic editing tricks. They're basically fundamentals, so you can use them for anything you need to, even if you're not necessarily going to do the same things that I do for your videos. They're basically quality of life at this point. Use these as you will. I don't see a lot of people talking about video editing tutorials or anything when they have their own little YouTube guide, so I thought this would be helpful. So, you know what I do? Now go do— okay, no, never mind. Not really. There's something I forgot to do, so let's do this real quick. Audio editing. This is important. You have to do this. I have seen lots of people with a channel that don't edit their audio for some reason, and it does not sound great. A lot of the time you can't hear what they're saying because the music or sound effects they're using is way louder than their voice. Sometimes they play their background music into their microphone as they're talking, so they don't have to edit it later. Please don't do that. It's super unprofessional and generally just bad. Sometimes you don't level out your audio, so it ends up sounding weird and loud and too quiet in some places, and it's never consistent. Or, most common and also the easiest to miss sometimes, you just have a loud fan or something in your background and you forget to get rid of it. All of these things are easily avoidable with the following things I will tell you about audio. First off, please record on a computer if you can. Ideally, you will be working mostly on a computer for everything related to your video. You can use a phone if you need to, but again, I stress that I recommend only using a phone if you need to. A computer does have the most options and it will be what I am covering. I use the free software Audacity to record. It's basically the YouTuber standard, mostly everyone uses this. I also use a secondary software called SteelSeries GG. I use this to run my microphone through it, because it has a feature where it will help filter out your microphone, boost your voice, and get rid of background noise on the fly as you record. Which is very convenient, because it helps my voice sound more clear in my videos. Of course, it's not perfect, and there's a chance it may miss some things, so you can help it out by using Audacity's features. Once you finish recording all of the lines that you think you need for the moment, go into Audacity and change your input device to be your source microphone, not SteelSeries running your microphone, your main microphone. This is because your main microphone has certain imperfections and can pick up background noise easier than the SteelSeries Run version, which you want. If you do that, hit record in Audacity one more time and don't say anything. Now, just let it run for a little bit. At most, maybe like a minute. I'd like to do a few seconds, but you can do longer if you want. Then, stop recording on the clip and click on it to select it. Go up to the Effects tab and scroll down to Noise Removal and Repair. From there, hit the Noise Reduction option. Then, a window will open up with a glowing blue button that says Get Noise Profile. Make sure to click on that. Now, delete that clip and hit Ctrl-A to select the rest of the clip. Go back up to Effects, Noise Removal and Repair, and hit Noise Reduction again. Now when the window opens up, the highlighted option will be the OK button, so click on that. What you basically just did is that you gave Audacity a clean noise sample of what the ambient background noise of your room sounds like. Now, after you hit OK, Audacity is going to look through the rest of your clip to try and find anything in the background that sounds remotely similar, and thus removing it. And there you go, you now have a clean audio recording. To make sure that your volume levels are okay and not jumping all over the place like I mentioned, go ahead and download a software called Levelator 2. What it'll do is, well, it's in the name. It'll level out any audio file that you give it, so that way all of the volume is about the same. So the highs are equal to the highs, and the lows are equal to the lows. And that's how I make my voice as clear as I can in my videos. Of course, all of this also depends on you yourself and your delivery. I like to think the line delivery is pretty solid. I've been doing it for about 2 years now at this point, so I would hope that I sound at least pretty decent at a microphone. When it comes to background music, obviously just do it in post. It makes your life a lot easier, and you can play with the volume levels of the second track if you need to. For me personally, my voice is pretty loud, but I still have to set background music to at least -20 or higher to make sure that I'm always legible. Depending on how quiet or loud you are in recording, you might have to make it softer, or you don't have to make it as soft. It just depends. Okay, now the section is done. On to the next one. So up until this point in time, a lot of my tips have focused on things like, names, and how to set up a YouTube channel, how to edit, and what to do, and things like that. All of which being very important, albeit very technical, things. But for this segment, we're going to touch on something a bit more abstract, being motivation and work ethic. Now, things like that are obviously going to vary and change from person to person. And because of how varied this whole thing is, this section will also have the most guests involved. to help you get a sense of the scope if you need it. I've done my best to sprinkle my friends throughout most of the other segments of the video, but because of how general this whole part of it is, I thought it'd be the best place to put them here. But we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge. For now, let's talk about what I do. Now, I don't know about any of you, but for me personally, I find really motivated to work on a project when I open it up and don't feel like I hate working on it all the time. Just a personal quirk, I guess. For me, I like to avoid burnout by giving myself dedicated work time and dedicated not work time. And here's basically how that works. So here's my week. Everything in the blue box are not spent working on my video. Anyway, like I said, basically, the general work week is not spent dedicated to videos. Instead, I dedicate this block to working on the other things in my life, so like homework, or tests, or essays, or a job, maybe, or an internship. So that way, when the weekend comes around, I've made sure to try and optimize the amount of time I have possible to spend working on videos and not anything else that I probably should have done earlier. If I don't feel like I'm gonna have time to work on a video, then I have to make time. Get everything out of the way now, so nothing intrudes when I actually want my free time. Also, working like this ensures that I basically am forcing myself to have a break. For a while, back when I started, I tried to work on a video every single day, which first off made sure that the videos that I released every single day were complete ass, and even if I wasn't making videos every single day and just working on a big one for a long time, I'd get burnt out super quickly, because every time I got home from school, all I would see is my editing screen, and I'd start to hate the sight of it. So by spacing out my work between weeks, it's giving me time to have a nice breather. Of course, that's all I have to share though. Let's see what my friends have to say about this. Let's start with my good pal, Toby Animates. When asked on the subject, he told me, find fellow creators and other peers, and then work with them, as working alone on big projects can often feel really isolating and lonely sometimes, so having somebody else who gets what you're going through can really help a lot. At least, you know, if you can work that way. I personally can't, but hey, if it works for Toby, it might work for you. Meanwhile, that guy John recommends setting realistic goals for yourself. As opposed to looking at a video project, or any project in general, as a big picture, give yourself little objectives to accomplish over time. This helps break down an otherwise seemingly intimidating project into smaller, more bite-sized, manageable sections. I'm actually with him on this one. I really highly recommend doing this if you don't already. Sometimes if a project is too long, it'll feel like you're not accomplishing anything, so breaking it up into sections makes you feel like you actually are accomplishing something. It just gives you that dopamine, I guess. I don't know, that's my reasoning for doing it. Hot Minute says, to keep it simple and don't try too hard. Trying to be a perfectionist will drain you, thus taking the fun out of it when it really should be. Which is pretty much in line with my other friend, Melodino Surname, had to say, where she basically said, don't make things you wouldn't watch yourself, don't do it for money, take breaks and relax, and accept the fact that you're not always going to get everything that you want. Okay, I admit that last one isn't exactly a motivation technique as much as it is just a hard pill to swallow, but I mean even Animates said it, so hey, it's a truth that comes with the trade. It's just something you gotta accept in this case. Rolling back around to a more sense of optimism, Orange Guy Animations comes in, and he echoes the sentiment that the most important thing to do is just have fun and not worry too much about quality, as it'll come to you over time. And the best thing that you can do is to persevere and make small changes and try to improve yourself every single time. But he also acknowledges that sometimes motivation isn't really something that you can control. You can take steps to try and mitigate burnout and overwork, which is what I've been talking about for most of this as well as everybody else, but sometimes, no matter who you are, that can just run out, or you can struggle, or things like that. But ideally, if you in your heart believe that this is really what you want, no matter how discouraging it will get, you'll keep doing it, because it's your passion, it's what you like to do. But with that in mind, I do have to say one more thing on the matter. There is a chance that despite all of this, really need to take that step away. So if you feel that's the healthiest thing for you to do in this scenario, then feel free to do that. We can give you tips to try and help you and find your way, but only you know what's best for you to do. Don't accidentally burn yourself out just because the funny moon YouTuber said that you have to work because you're passionate. That's just gonna go against everything I'm trying to help with in this section, which is healthy work ethic. Assess what works for you and what you can do, and then do that. We've all given you our templates, but you don't have to adhere to them if they don't fit you. I guess what I'm saying is, when doing all this, it can be much, so you gotta focus on yourself sometimes. You gotta do what's best for you. These videos wouldn't exist without you anyway, so the last thing that you want is for these things to take priority for the person behind them. And that is that. My attempt at an expansive YouTube guide, along with added recommendations and tips by others, of course. I tried to consider and talk about many different things throughout this, all based on personal experience and secondary testimony from other people, all to try and help you and any questions that you may have as a viewer. Though, try as I might, some things might slip through the cracks. I can't get everything. If you have any more or whatever that you need that wasn't in this video, ask in the comments and I'll try to answer your question. At least if I have a good answer for you anyway. I want to help people out and get into YouTube, or, you know, just to help people out in general. So there you go. I've thrown my hat into the ring and given my piece, as well as a bunch of other people's. Now it's up to you to do something about it. The creative freedom is yours.